Hey, kindergarten. So for today's lesson, we're going to continue to work with the book Rap-A-Tap-Tap. Here's Bojangles. Think of that. All right. And we're going to use our eyes to see and look for key details and see what we notice in the story. Okay. I have the main question here to help us out. It says, what do you notice? And I have a couple of things here. It says details. So we're going to look for details today. Then these words say Great Depression, and I'm going to explain what the Great Depression was and why it relates to our story today when we're looking and noticing things, okay? So before we get into the stories, I want to explain that Bojangles was a real person, okay? He was a real performer, and his art was his dancing, all right? He lived in a time, a long time ago, called the Great Depression. In our country, the United States, a long time ago, there was a time period called the Great Depression. It was a time when a lot of people lost their jobs, and there was a lot of poor people, and there was a lot of people that were sad. And Bojangles used to dance around the city to help spread joy to people. So we're going to look for some details and see what we notice about that. All right. So I noticed that right here it says there once was a man who danced in the streets. So where did he dance? Well, right here he's dancing outside in the streets. Okay. He would do it for everybody. He did it to bring joy to people. All right. Here he is. I noticed he's dancing for dad and a baby at a bus stop. I noticed that he's outside and it's sunny. All right. It says he danced past doors. Some were open, some were closed. I noticed he's dancing at nighttime. And those are probably some people that are out. They're all dressed up. They're fancy. It says he danced past folks. Remember that word, folks? It means a group of people. I noticed that he always has a hat and a cane. Okay. This says he danced through a place people called the Skids. So that was a rough neighborhood. And as these people are trying to stay warm by a fire, and their clothes look kind of worn and tattered. So he danced for people that had a lot and people that didn't have a lot. Okay, remember I said the Great Depression, a lot of people lost their jobs and their homes. Okay, so he's trying to spread joy. He was a really special person. Let's see. I noticed he's dancing with a band at the park. He goes through the market. He stops to pet a cat. Okay. What do you notice as I'm showing you the pictures? I noticed that it looks like it's about to rain. Everybody has umbrellas, even though the sun's out. That doesn't make any sense to me. I wonder why they drew the sun. Says people listened for him. Okay. They would hear his toes tapping. I noticed that here he's inside and he's dancing on a stage. And he's dressed up. He has a fancy tuxedo on. So his clothes. I also noticed his cane's different there, and his hat seems very fancy. So as we went through that book, he danced in all kind of places. All right. He danced inside, he danced outside, he danced on the street, he danced for all kinds of people, all right? There's another thing I wanted to talk about here. It says preposition. Prepositions are fancy words that describe where things are happening, okay? And I have the word in, I have the word under, and the last word says outside. So when you look through that story, his location changes, and prepositions help describe where something is happening, where something is, okay? Remember we were looking through and he was dancing outside here? But the location of where he is dancing seems to change each page. Now he's in the park. He's still outside though. But I remember the last page, he's inside, okay? So his location is changing. I noticed that. All right. Okay. So I noticed a couple of things in that story. I noticed that he danced for all different kinds of people. I noticed his location of where he danced changed. It doesn't matter if he was inside or outside. I noticed that he danced for fancy people and he danced for the poor people to help bring them joy. Remember we talked about, I told you a little bit about the Great Depression. So Bojangles lived during the Great Depression, and he knew that people were very sad. And he danced to help bring them a little bit of joy and a little bit of happiness. So he was a really important person in his city and in his community. There's a couple of response activities that I want you to complete today. One of them is for you to tell me what you noticed as we went through that book again. I want you to draw a picture. Make sure you add key details. So if you're drawing Bojangles, make sure you add his hat, maybe his cane. Draw him maybe something you noticed in the story where he was dancing or what he did. Maybe you noticed him patting the cat. Maybe you noticed him dancing for the poor people. Maybe you noticed him dancing inside at the theater, all right? That's one thing. The other thing was I talked a little bit about prepositions. Prepositions help describe where something is, right? They're location words. Here are 4 prepositions: in, under, on, and outside. You have to match the word to the picture, okay? So those are 2 assignments that you have to do today. When you're done with your work, please post it on Seesaw for me to look at, and we will continue to talk about details tomorrow and prepositions a little bit more tomorrow. And I have a video of the real Bojangles dancing that I'm going to post for you to watch tomorrow as well, okay? Have a great day. I can't wait to see your work.